everyone, I've decided to do a video. It seems like I have a pair of antlers on my head, but I don't. It's my lovely moose. I wanted to do a quick video because I have gone to write this post on a couple of occasions and I get halfway through and I'm like, it would be easier to just do a video. So I'm doing a video. So this video is essentially about beware of false idols. And the reason I say this is, and I've fallen prey to this also, and so it's a lesson in learning for me, but over the last while, I have been doing a lot of research about what's actually really happening in the world at the moment. So, global takeover and pandemics and the whole lot of it. Celebrities, Hollywood, all the stuff that's going on. And while I thought I was awake to a lot of things, I will be completely honest and say that after I have done my research, my eyes have been wide open and I'm a lot more aware of what's been going on than I could have ever imagined, really. With this comes some realization that even though I've never been somebody who really follows celebrities, politics, or any of that kind of nonsense, I will say that I have been a sheep in the past. And what I mean by that is, sometimes rather than forming my own informed, educated, researched opinion on something, it's easier to just go with what everybody else is saying. And I don't mean that so flippantly, but I will say, for argument's sake, even with Trump, right? Like to be honest with you, never followed him, didn't watch anything about him. I'm not into politics, or wasn't into politics. And I just went with the general background consensus as to people thought he was an idiot and, just made fun of him for his looks. Now, I'm not into making fun of somebody for their looks or anything like that, but the general consensus was he was an idiot and all the rest of it. And without having a formed opinion, if I was having a conversation, I'd be like, look, I don't really know a whole lot about him, but I believe he's a bit of an idiot. So, and then if I met somebody who challenged that opinion, I'd be like, woo, out of my depth. I don't know. I don't really have a real opinion about it. But the point of what I'm saying is sometimes we can just go with the general consensus of what's around us. And we need to be quite careful of that. And during these times, I would say there's a lot of celebrities and spiritual teachers and people, inspirational people, that I've followed through the years to some end, who I've learned a lot about myself through their own workings, through their own advice and through their own teachings to some end. And I've always felt there's a bit of a glass ceiling. I always feel it's a bit like a self-help book. Self-help books generally don't help people because why would you keep buying self-help books if they actually really helped you? Now, I've bought a million self-help books. I probably still would buy some to some end because there's information in there that helps you to grow and learn. If some information will resonate with you, some information won't resonate with you. And we're all on different parts of our journey. And the most important part really is that you feel your way through that information. You don't have to agree with everything that somebody says. But the important part is that you can be aware of the times that you're feeling into your own body to find out what your truth is. And the reason I'm saying all this is when I started to discover all that's going on behind the scenes in Hollywood and everywhere else, it made me question a lot of the spiritual teachers that I had been following through the years, who are very high profile and who a lot of people know them. And it made me begin to wonder, why are they high profile? And why are they high profile and other people aren't? And what gives them more exposure than, somebody else? And I won't lie, I didn't like the whole process of these questions to myself because they made me uncomfortable. These are people that I've really admired through the years and I don't want to lose that. And it creates fear and it makes me also question my own validity in myself and my own ability to feel into the truth. If some of these people's, even down to, down to the movies, again, I'm not a big celeb person, but there's celebrities, actors, should I say, that I've actually really admired through the years and have loved their films. And my God, the things that I'm finding out are just horrendous. And it's all going to come out. You'll all find out what I'm talking about over time. It's not going to be something that's easily covered up. It will be covered up, but it's not going to be easily covered up, or at least certainly won't stay covered up forever. And the point of this is, when that's removed from you, it makes you question everything. If you see these people that you really liked and admired, and it makes you question your own ability to know the truth. And it really makes you start to feel into your own truth, and you're like, Jesus, like, wow, that, I really just went blind in there. What I noticed was, when I took away those spiritual teachers and stopped following them and started feeling into my own truth, I started getting so many downloads of just wisdom, just knowledge and wisdom. I started really feeling into my body. And I will also say I'm still human. And so the part of me that lost the security blanket of these people who I was learning from, that needed to be filled with something. And I immediately filled that void with people who I felt were telling me the truth about other things. So I replaced one hole that was filled with another hole that was filled. And blindly started kind of, people who have been very supportive of bringing the truth out, which is really important. The truth needs to come out. I was like watching loads of videos, doing lots of research. Certain people kind of kept cropping up again and again and again. And what I was like, it just started to kind of enter my head. Hold on, are you replacing your trust of this person over here now with a trust of this person over here? And am I being critical enough of this person over here? This person who I now feel is telling me the truth, I can't just blindly follow them the same way as I blindly followed the people who I thought originally were telling me the truth. The people I originally thought were telling me the truth, I've discovered were total, my God, what they were doing. And they're not the people I thought they were. So I took them out, and then I was like, oh, I'll follow this person. And it's natural. And we've actually been manipulated into a culture that needs to search for our truth outside of ourselves. And it's really dangerous. It's really dangerous. I'm writing a book at the moment, which I wasn't sure what direction the book was going to take. And in actual fact, the direction that it took was, it made me realize, the book wrote me, and it made me realize that for the best part of my life, I had been looking at myself through other people's eyes, not my own eyes. And the reason I say that is because it was safer to look at myself through other people's eyes. Because if I looked at myself through my own eyes and it didn't, my opinions didn't align up with other people, I was in danger of being rejected, not accepted, not loved. So it was easier for me to see myself through other people's eyes and be the person that they wanted me to be, that they saw me to be. And then I couldn't be wrong. I couldn't be wrong in their eyes. If you're being the person that somebody else wants you to be, then you can't disappoint them, or to the best part, you can't disappoint them. You can only disappoint them when you start to be yourself. And I really learned that, and it took me a long time to learn that. I also learned the hard lesson that sometimes the sweetest of faces are not always telling you all the truth. And so recently I noticed that I replaced my spiritual teachers with other people in alternative media who seem to be telling the truth. And then I kind of realized, whoa, what's their game? They also might have their own agenda. And I've started to question everything. And what it's led me to is back to myself. And that's where we all need to be. We need to be back with ourselves. We're going through a huge time of massive transformation. The earth is going through a huge transformation at the moment, and we're transforming with it. And in that, it's forcing us back into our own hearts. So whilst a lot of information over the next while is going to come out that's going to shock us to our core, it's going to take away everything from underneath our feet that we felt was stable. We're going to feel lost. We're going to feel insecure. We're going to feel distrustful. We're not going to know where to put our trust. And that's okay, because that's an adjustment and that's part of your journey. But just know that at the end of all this and inside all the chaos is you. You're there. Your heart is there. And we need to come a little bit out of our heads and into our heart. And we've spent, so many years being not pushed, but being encouraged into a spiritual realm. Everything's about spirituality these days. And whilst that's really important, and it is important to know that side of things, it's actually equally important to be a human. We're not here for no reason. We're not living a human experience, a spirit in a human body for no reason. If our spirit was meant to be purely spiritual, and if we were supposed to purely only be spiritual, then we wouldn't be here. We would be somewhere else in a different dimension that is purely spiritual. But for this moment, while we're in our human bodies, we are meant to experience the full gamut of human emotions. We're meant to experience every aspect of it. It's meant as a lesson, as a way of learning. Anger is a lesson, sadness is a lesson, happiness is a lesson, joy is a lesson. And it's about being present with our human experience versus sitting in meditative positions and attaining enlightenment. Yes, absolutely, do that. Being important, or being connected to our spirit and being connected to our higher self and knowing what that's about is so important. And especially now it's really, really important that we're aware that that exists. But for those who have ascended, those who have moved into higher realms, those who've been working on themselves and can feel the shift and change in themselves, those who are living and walking a spiritual path, what we also need to do is we need to embrace the human experience. So we have ascended, and now we need to descend to ascend again. And that's the information that I've been given. It's really, really important that we can combine the two, that we remember where we came from, that we remember that we are so incredibly powerful. We are more powerful than we have been led to believe. And mainstream media and Hollywood and, all these idols and all these spiritual teachers have given us a glass ceiling. They've told us what kind of life to live, who we're to be, who we're not to be, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, what gender to be, what food to eat, how to exercise. They're telling us everything. And we have become so dependent on our external world to tell us how to live our life that we've forgotten how to listen to our bodies. We've forgotten how to hear what it is that we need to do for ourselves. If everything was taken away from us, if all marketing, media, advertising, mainstream media, celebrities, movies, TV, radio, news, everything was taken away, and you only had yourself to rely on, you would find within yourself a survival skill. You would find your way. It's part of our existence is to survive, and we would find our own way. And what we need to do now is we need to find our way back to our hearts. And we're going to be forced to do that with what's coming up, what's coming on down the line. There's a lot of stuff coming on down the line, and it is going to shock people to the core. It is going to make us question everything, and it is going to seem as though it's negative and terrible and awful and horrendous, and a lot of it is, but we also need to be aware that it's there as a tool for waking us up. In order to ascend and come to the new earth, which is just around the corner, people need to wake up. And the only way we will wake up is if things change. And things are going to change. And the only way to wake up is sometimes by, challenging serious opinion, and making us really question who am I? What are my values? What do I stand for? What do I want from my life? If everything was taken away from me tomorrow morning, what's the most important to me? If I could do anything tomorrow, what would I do? And it's a time of self-reflection, and it's a time of getting to know ourselves. It's a time of becoming consciously aware of the unconscious as much as we can possible, and really connecting both of those in. So that's my bit of musing. And essentially what I'm saying is, if there's black and white and you're replacing black with white, be careful what you're replacing it with. Or equally, if we have a hole and there's a block in it here and it's taken away, be careful of what block you're putting back into it. It's human nature to want to fill the void. As soon as something is taken away from us, we want to fill that void. And what we want to be careful about doing is how we fill it and what we fill it with. So just don't fall into the same traps that may be dressed up in a different way, is essentially what I'm saying. And question everything. And it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to 1 week feel that this is your truth, and then the next week go, oh, hold on a minute, that doesn't align with me anymore. Because we're all just getting used to feeling back into ourselves again. And it's scary as hell. It's really scary. Because we don't know if we're right or wrong, if we've been disconnected from our own yes and no patterns for years. It's hard for us to know what feels right and what feels wrong when we haven't been using that skill for a long time. So the only way you're going to ever grow that skill is to start now. And it's perfect setting. In fact, it's part of what's being pushed on us at the moment, is that ability to feel into what's right and what's wrong. So be gentle with yourself. It's a slow process. It is a slightly uncomfortable process. For some people, it will be extremely uncomfortable and cause a lot of fear. For some people, they'll find it a little bit easier to go through these times. I will say meditation helps a lot. Meditation does help a lot. It gives us space and time to react between the information that we're receiving and what we put out into the world. So if you can meditate, great. It is hard. I don't know if anybody else who's on your spiritual path at the moment, I'd love to hear from you guys. Are you finding it hard to meditate at the moment? I'm finding it quite difficult. The energy is really, really, really intense at the moment. I'm finding the energy really intense and very rapid, and everything's changing very quickly, and everything's very busy. And so meditating in that can be a little bit like trying to anchor a boat down in the middle of a storm. But I do think it's beneficial also. So that's all I've got to say. Sorry I kept you a little bit longer. There are my musings. I hope they've been helpful in some way. I'd love to hear your comments. Let me know where you are on your journey. Does this any of this, does it resonate with you? Have you noticed yourself going from replacing this piece of information to immediately filling the void with something else? Are you kind of manically jumping between hope and fear? And if you are, that's okay, and I'd love to hear from you. So like the button below and check out my website, deborahjkelly.com, and I'd love to hear more from you. Take care. Bye.